What's up everyone, we're going to be going through the best NBA player props on Prizepicks today. Now I did want to show you the results from yesterday's picks from my exclusive Discord group, and as you guys see we actually got 20 picks correct, which was absolutely insane. Now a lot of you comment wanting to see how many I got wrong, and I thought I'd show you in today's video. We only got 3 picks wrong and got 20 right, which is about a 90% win rate. Yes guys, you heard that right, 90% win rate. So we're on a huge hot streak, but if you want to get a 90% win rate and get 20 picks right like me, win more bets or receive the best picks from some of the best bettors in the world for less than a cup of coffee, you can access the exclusive Discord and meet some of the best sport bettors in the game by joining my Patreon, which will be linked down below in the description. Once you join, you'll have complete access to the Discord and can start winning more bets today. So make sure you join my Patreon using the link in the description. And here's one of our members who just signed up and won himself $1,000 just yesterday, and another member who won $885 for the 6th day in a row since joining my Discord. So guys, if you want to win big money like our members, the link will be in the description, so go join the Patreon to have access to the Discord group, and I will be continuing to upload every single day on this channel the best bets and props, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my daily uploads. Also want to give a quick shout out to some of you that did comment on my last video, so shouts out to Already Early who shouted out saying win. Also shout out to DFS Spotlight who said let's get it bruv, and then shout out to Wavy Roman who said yo. So shouts out to those guys, and guys, if you do want to get a shout out in the next video, all you have to do is comment and like this video and you can be in the running to win a shout out in the next one. Alright, so let's get straight into the first pick, and when it comes to these picks, I'm not saying to chuck all of them into a parlay and hope for the best. Pick and choose the ones that you like and the ones that work best for you. So the first pick we're going to be talking about is none other than Domantas Sabonis, and this one is actually for 6.5 assists and this one is for less. Now, when we look at someone like Domantas Sabonis, we've actually seen him go on the under in 2 out of the last 5 games. So it's an interesting one because when we look at his last 5 games, he faced off against Golden State Warriors on the February 22nd. He had 9 assists in that matchup. Then faced off against Charlotte Hornets where he had 7. And then moving on from that, faced off against Utah Jazz where he had 5 assists. From then, we had March 2nd, Houston Rockets matchup, and he had 0 assists in that one. And then March 15 against Phoenix Suns was able to get 12 assists. So interesting one there for Domantas Sabonis over the last 5 games. His average over the last 5 has also been 6.6. So just slightly above this line, but definitely not high enough for us. Now, when we look at the matchup that they do face off against, they do face off against the Memphis Grizzlies in this next matchup. Now, when we look at Memphis Grizzlies, they hadn't had a really good season so far. They currently rank 4th in the Western Conference with a record of 43-25. So very good there. Now, they haven't clinched a playoff spot just yet. They are continuing to push for a playoff spot. So we definitely see that taken into consideration. And then when we look at the Kings on the other side of it, we also see Kings in the Western Conference as well, ranked 9th with a record of 33-33. So when it comes to Domantas Sabonis and the rest of the Sacramento Kings, they are continuing to make a push for the playoffs, as time goes on. Now, coming into this matchup, when we look at the Memphis Grizzlies, we do see that the Grizzlies do rank 18th when it comes to assists allowed. So they do rank, 18th, so a little bit low in that category. However, the reason why we still do like, the actual under for this situation here is due to the fact that when we look at Domantas Sabonis, what we actually have seen time and time again is that Sabonis is a big man forward/center, and Memphis Grizzlies do a fantastic job at restricting assists to the big man position. So we definitely see someone like Sabonis going on the under here due to that reason. And on top of that, when we also look at the matchup against Memphis are a little bit slower in pace, and we are expecting Sacramento to actually come down to Memphis's pace. If they do come down to Memphis's pace, we should see less volume from Sabonis overall, which definitely means then less opportunities for assists. So all around, that definitely works out for the under for this one. So although he has gone on the over a couple of times so far in the last 5 games, like we always mention, matchups, that's what's most important. And with a matchup like this, we definitely are expecting to see a very different story. Now, when we look at Sabonis over the last, games that he has faced off against the Grizzlies this season, we definitely see a very, very interesting sight because they faced off against the 5th on December of last year, and he only had 6 assists in that matchup, so he would have been under this line. And on top of that, they faced off again on the 3rd of January for 2025, and he only got 6 assists as well in that matchup. So as you see in both of those games, he did a Memphis did a fantastic job at restricting Sabonis from assist, and we definitely see that being the case coming into this matchup once again. We definitely are expecting, someone like Sabonis to actually struggle due to Memphis's great defense, and we definitely see him struggling there. So for that reason, we do very much like the under for this situation for Domantas Sabonis. So Domantas Sabonis, 6.5 assists for less, I think is a fantastic pick. So getting to the next pick, we're going to be talking about none other than Toumani Camara. So as we all know, Camara, great player. However, this one is actually 4 points for 12.5 points at that. And this one actually is for less. Now we look at Toumani Camara, we've actually seen him go on the under in 3 out of the last 5 games, which is interesting to see. Now they do face off against none other than Washington Wizards in this next matchup, but let's look at the last 5 games. They faced off against Oklahoma City Thunder, and he only had 7 points in that matchup. Then on March 10th, faced off against Detroit Pistons, where he only had 7 points there as well. Then after that, faced off against the Golden State Warriors on March 11 with only 7 points. Facing off against New York Knicks straight after for 14 points, and then faced off against Toronto Raptors for 21 points. So when you look at that, we actually do see that Camara has gone on the under more than he has gone on the over, and we definitely see that already being a big sign there. Now when we look at someone like Camara, yes, he is, a decent player, but his usage rate has definitely fallen quite a bit when it comes to points as of lately. His average over the last 5 is only 11.2, so definitely, below this line as well. Now, when we look at the matchup, they face off against Washington Wizards. Now, Wizards do rank 30th when it comes to points allowed. So, interesting there, because when it comes to actually the matchup that they do face off against, they do face off against Washington Wizards, who not only rank 30th in points allowed. However, when you look further, you also do see that Washington Wizards do a fantastic job at restricting points to the forward position. And since Camara is a forward, we definitely see Washington doing a fantastic job there. Now, when we look at both of these teams, we do see that Portland Trail Blazers, when it actually comes to their positioning, they do have a record of 29-39 that actually puts them in the 12th spot in the Western Conference. Now, moving over into Washington Wizards, we see a bit of a different story as they rank 15th with a record of 15-51. So definitely interesting there. But when it comes to someone like Toumani Camara, we definitely see him going on the under here due to Washington's great defense to the forward position. Now, when we also look at Camara, over the last game so far this season against Washington Wizards, we definitely see a similar story. When you actually see Toumani Camara faced off against them on the 26th of February, so just kind of recent in that sense, and he only had 11 points in that matchup. So he would have went under his line, and that's a big reason why we definitely do like the under once again for someone like Camara coming into this matchup. Now, his average over the last 5 not only is 11.2, but just his usage rate has definitely been on the lower side as well. And we think with listening to what the bookies are saying, bookies also have him favored for the under as well. So that works out in our favor there. So for that reason, this one's kind of a no-brainer to us. So Toumani Camara, 12.5 points for less, I think is a fantastic pick. Now getting into the next pick, we're going to be talking about none other than Devin Vassell. So as we all know, Devin Vassell, great player for the San Antonio Spurs, and he's been carrying the Spurs as of lately as Victor has been out. Now this one is a fantastic one, however, for rebounds for 4.5. However, this one is for less. Now, when we look at someone like Devin Vassell, we've actually seen him go on the under in 3 out of the last 5 games. So it is a little bit of an interesting one there, because when we actually look at those games, we see a very interesting story. They see them face off against Minnesota on March 10th. And on top of that, they only got 4 rebounds in that matchup. Then faced off against Dallas on March 11, only had 4 rebounds in that one. Then faced off against Dallas again on a back-to-back, had 10 rebounds. Then against Charlotte Hornets, having 3 rebounds. Then finishing off against New Orleans Pelicans, where he had 5 rebounds in that matchup. So, we actually have seen overall, we've seen him, go on the under more than the over. Now, his average over the last 5 is 5.2. So it is above this line. However, you do have to remember he did have a game against Dallas where he had 10 rebounds. That was a little bit more of an outlier game. We don't really see that happening again anytime soon, especially against this LA Lakers team. Now, they face off against LA Lakers in this next matchup. Now, when we look at both of these teams, we see that the San Antonio Spurs, when it comes to their ranking, the Spurs do rank 13th when it comes to, the Western Conference. So we aren't really expecting too much because it does seem that they are probably out of the playoff contention. So we could still see this Spurs team continue to tank. Now, they face off against the Lakers, who on the other hand rank 5th in the Western Conference and are continuing to push on to try to make the playoffs. They haven't clinched a spot just yet, so they are continuing to push, and that is definitely a big sign for us. Now, looking at the Lakers, we do see that when it comes to the LA Lakers, when it comes to actually rebounds allowed, we do see that the LA Lakers rank 8th when it comes to rebounds allowed. So they rank very high in that category, and we definitely see that having a huge effect on someone like Devin Vassell. On top of that, when it comes to Devin Vassell's position, where he usually plays at small forward, we actually do see that the LA Lakers do a fantastic job at restricting rebounds to his position, and that's a big reason why we do very much like the under for this situation here. Vassell doesn't really have the highest usage rate in this department, so we definitely see him kind of just being more reserved in this matchup due to the fact that Lakers are a fantastic team when it comes to rebounding. Now, on top of that, we also do know Spurs are looking to tank, and if they are looking to tank, we don't really expect a lot of minutes from Devin Vassell. We expect his usage rate to be a little bit lower, maybe less minutes, because Spurs are probably going to try to chuck in their bench as quick as possible and kind of get the game done and over with. So for that reason, we definitely do like the under for this situation for Devin Vassell. When we look at Vassell as well so far this season against the Spurs, we definitely see a very interesting story. Now, they faced off against each other on the 15th, and he had 0 rebounds in that game, so he was actually under his line there. Then on the 27th, played again, and he only had 3 rebounds in that matchup. And then once again on January 13th, he had 6 rebounds in that matchup, so he did go over on that one. But out of all 3 games, we actually see 2 out of the 3 he did go on the under, and we definitely see that being a huge effect there. So for that reason, we do very much like the under for this situation here for someone like Devin Vassell, as we have seen his history with or against the Lakers being very much similar to that. So when we look at what the bookies are saying, bookies also have him favored for the under as well, so that works out in our favor there. So Devin Vassell, 4.5 rebounds for less, I think is a fantastic pick. All right, so as you all know, I do want to get these picks out to you as soon as possible, but Prizepicks is delayed with some of their lines. So here are a couple of players you should definitely watch out for when their lines drop. So the first player we're going to be talking about is none other than Karl-Anthony Towns. So as you all know, Karl-Anthony Towns has done a fantastic job for his team, and new team at that, which is the New York Knicks. Now, when we look at Karl-Anthony Towns so far this season, we have actually seen that he has been averaging 24.3 points, which is great, which ranks him at 16th, 13.1 rebounds, which actually ranks him second, and then 3.1 assists, which actually ties him at 83rd, with a 52.5% field goal percentage, which I think is great. So Karl-Anthony Towns has done a fantastic job for this Knicks team, and he's really helped this Knicks team because the Knicks currently have a record of 42-24, and also currently rank 3rd in the Eastern Conference. So it is going to be an exciting game because they do face off against none other than the Miami Heat. Now we look at the Miami Heat, they do rank 9th in the Eastern Conference and have a record of 29-38. So a little bit less on that 9th spot. They are still trying to push for a playoff spot, and same with the Knicks. The Knicks haven't clinched just yet, so they are continuing to push and to give it their all, throughout this game. So when we look at Miami Heat in the points, rebounds, and assists allowed department, we do see Miami Heat does rank 7th when it comes to points allowed. Moving on into assists allowed, we see that they rank 16th, and then rebounds allowed, we also do see that Miami Heat rank 23rd. So when we look at Miami Heat, they do a fantastic job, in the points department, a little bit less in rebounds and a little bit less as well in assists. So when we look at Karl-Anthony Towns, we do very much like the over for this, position here or for this matchup. And I would definitely look at all three, aspects, whether it's points, rebounds, and assists. A big reason being is that Miami Heat do actually struggle against the center position, which is what Karl-Anthony Towns is. And for that reason, we definitely see Miami Heat struggling to really contain Karl-Anthony Towns, and we see Towns kind of going off and going for a lot in this matchup. Now, when we look at someone like Cat, what we also do see is that when it comes to Karl-Anthony Towns as well, we are also expecting the over for this situation due to the fact that when we look at, Heat and Knicks, both of these teams, both teams are still pushing for a playoff spot, so we are expecting Karl-Anthony Towns to have a lot of minutes out there and a lot of usage rate. Now, Jalen Brunson may also potentially be out for this game, and if he is potentially out, and if he is out, we could see an increase in Karl-Anthony Towns' usage rate as well. But even if, Brunson does end up playing, we still see there being a lot of value for Towns to go on the over due to the fact that Heat do really rank very poorly at restricting points, rebounds, and assists to the center position. Now, when we look at his, last 5 games, he has put on some pretty big performances. He's coming off a game against the Golden State Warriors where he had 29 points, 12 rebounds, and 3 assists. Another performance where he had 23 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists. So he has been able to put on quite a show in a couple of the games. So he has had a little bit of the hot hand as of recent. And we definitely see that continuing on into this next matchup. No doubt about it. So keep an eye out for Karl-Anthony Towns' line. I see a lot of value there to go on the over, especially if the line is under his averages. Now getting into the next player. So the next player we're going to be talking about is Alperen Sengun. So Sengun has done a fantastic job for his team, the Houston Rockets. And so far this season, he's been averaging 19.2 points, which ranks him at 41st. 10.5 rebounds, which actually ranks him 7th, 4.9 assists, ranking him 39th, and then a 50.1% field goal percentage, which ranks him at 36. So he has done a fantastic job for none other than the Houston Rockets, and the Houston Rockets do have themselves a very, very good matchup against none other than the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, it is going to be an interesting game. Now, when we look at Houston Rockets do rank 2nd in the Western Conference right now with a record of 43-25. So they have done a fantastic job there. And on top of that, when we look at a team like the 76ers, we kind of see a little bit of the opposite, as they do rank 12th with a record of 23-44. Now, 76ers aren't really looking too well as of recent, and also they are missing a lot of players due to injury. And when we look at the Rockets, they haven't clinched playoffs just yet, but they are very close, so they are going to continue to push to finalize and clinch that playoff spot. But when we look at Alperen Sengun, this one is fantastic because when we look at the matchup against 76ers, the 76ers do rank 16th when it comes to points allowed. Moving on into assists allowed, they do rank 24th. And then rebounds allowed, they do rank 22nd. So when we look at a team like, the 76ers, it is a little bit of an interesting one because they rank very, very low in all 3 categories. But on top of that, you also do have to remember that when it comes to, the 76ers, they are also missing a lot of players. Joel Embiid is injured. Paul George is injured. Other players like Tyrese Maxey is also injured, so they're missing out on a lot of players. So although they do rank in that mid-tier in all 3 categories, we are pretty much expecting the 76ers team to be playing pretty much bench warmer type players. Unfortunately, no disrespect to any of those players, but yeah, they are going to be a great defensive team. Houston Rockets coming out with their starters, they're definitely going to annihilate them, and that's why we do like the over for someone like Alperen Sengun. We definitely see him just being able to take advantage of this. 76ers coming with their bench, I don't think is going to cause a lot of problems from Sengun. I think Sengun will be able to take advantage of that, no doubt about it. And The Houston Rockets and Sengun have also had a little bit of a hot streak as of lately. They faced off against Chicago, which was great. And in that matchup, we actually saw, 24 points, 15 rebounds, and 4 assists in that matchup. He had another game having 16 points, 15 rebounds, and 4 assists as well. So he's had some pretty big games. He's had a hot hand. And the fact that they have been on a really, really good winning streak, we definitely see that continuing on into this next matchup. No doubt about it. So for that reason, we do very much like the over for this situation for someone like Sengun. We definitely see him taking advantage of this 76ers team, unfortunately. So for the 76ers fan, unfortunately, Sengun's about to go off. So keep an eye out for his line. I see a lot of value there to go on the over on his line if the line is under his averages. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about Jimmy Butler III. So Jimmy Butler III, great player, as we all know, has been playing great for his new team, the Golden State Warriors. And so far this season, now this is combining both his time with Miami Heat and also, his time with the actual Warriors. But he's been averaging 16.8 points, 5.4 rebounds, 5.2 assists, while also shooting 50.2% from the field. So he's done a fantastic job for none other than the Golden State Warriors. And the Golden State Warriors do have themselves a great matchup against the Denver Nuggets. So it is going to be an exciting game, no doubt about that. Now, when we look at both of these teams, we see that the Denver Nuggets do rank third in the Western Conference, having a record of 43-25. So they haven't clinched a playoff spot just yet, so we are expecting them to really come out firing. And they face off against the Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets face off against, the Warriors. And the Warriors do have a record of 39-28. So almost, very close at getting into that top 5. Warriors currently ranked 6th in the Western Conference. They are continuing also to push for a playoff spot as they haven't clinched anything just yet. So it is going to be an exciting game, no doubt about it. But I do see both of these teams coming out with a lot of pressure on both sides. Now, when we look at the Denver Nuggets, we do see that the Denver Nuggets do surprisingly rank 24th when it comes to points allowed. Moving on into assists allowed, we see that they rank 30th, so they rank, last out of all 30 teams. And on top of that, moving on into rebounds allowed, we see the Denver rank 5th. So because of that, we definitely see that being a big thing due to the fact that we do like the over for someone like Jimmy Butler, but I would definitely focus on points and assists in those two categories. A reason being is that when it comes to the Denver Nuggets, they do a very poor job not only at restricting points and assists, but also do a very poor job at restricting points and assists to the small forward position. So we definitely see someone like Jimmy Butler being able to take advantage of that and going on the over there. Now, Nuggets do rank a little bit better in that rebound, so that's why I would definitely stay away from it. I feel like that's just a little bit more of a 50-50. And Jimmy Butler may be also playing this game without Steph Curry. So Steph Curry is a game time decision. Now, even if he does play, we don't see it really affecting that much, but we are expecting a lot of usage rate from Jimmy Butler, and it should be enough to definitely see him go on the over. And if Steph Curry does sit out as well, that's even an extra bonus there. Now, I look at the Golden State Warriors. We do see that they have been on a great win streak as of lately. Jimmy Butler as well is coming off a game where he had 11 points, 7 assists, 6 rebounds, but he's had some other big games having 15 points, 10 and 10. Another game where he had 26 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists. So he has been doing a fantastic job, all around for the Golden State Warriors. And the Golden State Warriors also do have themselves, a very fast-paced matchup with the Denver Nuggets. And the reason I say that is that although Nuggets aren't the fastest-paced team, we are expecting Nuggets to actually go up to Warriors' pace. So, we aren't expecting the Nuggets to actually slow down Warriors. So we should see a similar amount of volume that we usually see from Jimmy Butler. And it should definitely be enough to see him go on the over for this one. So for that reason, we do very much like the over. So keep an eye out for Jimmy Butler coming into this game. Specifically, focus on points and assist line. I see a lot of value in those two for sure. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about none other than Bennedict Mathurin. So, Bennedict Mathurin, great player from the Indiana Pacers. And the Pacers have done a fantastic job with Bennedict because he's been averaging 15.9 points, which actually ranks him 63rd, 5.3 rebounds, which ranks him 70th, 1.9 assists, which ranks him 140th, and also shooting 46.8% from the field. So he's done a fantastic job for the Indiana Pacers, and the Indiana Pacers do have themselves a great matchup against none other than the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, when we look at both of these teams, we see that the Minnesota Timberwolves do actually rank 7th when it comes to, the Western Conference. They have a record of 40-29. So very interesting record there. They're currently ranked 7th, haven't made the playoffs just yet. They haven't clinched or anything like that. So they are going to continue to push at a very high level. And then when we look on the other side to the Pacers, we see that the Pacers rank 5th in the Eastern Conference and also have a record of 37-29. So a little bit, similar records-ish in that sense. But when we look at also the Pacers and Timberwolves matchup, what we also do see is that when we look at Timberwolves, they rank 6th when it comes to points allowed, 5th when it comes to assists allowed, and then 12th when it comes to rebounds allowed. So they rank very high in all three categories. And for that reason, we do very much like the under for this situation here for someone like Bennedict Mathurin. Bennedict does play the shooting guard position, and the Timberwolves do a fantastic job at restricting points, rebounds, and assists to the actual shooting guard position. And we definitely see someone like Bennedict struggling coming into this game. When we look at someone like Bennedict as well, what we also have seen time and time again is that due to the fact that Timberwolves are a slower paced team, we are expecting Timberwolves to actually slow down this Pacers roster, which should lead to less volume and also less opportunity for Bennedict. Now, I wouldn't really focus on any of the categories. I highly doubt he may have a line out for the assist. I think points and rebounds is definitely where you're going to find most of it. So I would definitely keep an eye out for those lines. And for someone like Bennedict Mathurin, he should be able, to do pretty poorly in a sense that he may definitely struggle, because when we look at also some of these recent games, we see that's coming off a game where he only had 6 points, 0 assists, 1 rebounds against the Milwaukee Bucks. Another game against Philadelphia where he only had 5 points, 1 assist, and 1 rebound, and that's against Philly, who do a very poor job defensively. And another game where he only had 5 points, 3 assists, and 2 rebounds. So Bennedict has been a little bit inconsistent as of lately, and we definitely see that taken into consideration, and we see that affecting this game overall. So for that reason, we definitely do like the under for someone like Bennedict Mathurin coming into this matchup. So keep an eye out for the line. If the line is too close to his averages, definitely look to go in the under. So definitely see a lot of great value there.